Imagine waking up every morning and checking the news, not for the weather, not for traffic, but to see what happened overnight. Another shooting, another robbery, another life changed forever. For millions of Americans, this isn't fear-mongering, it's daily reality. Across the United States, some cities are booming with new investment, new people, and new opportunities. But at the very same time, other cities are quietly slipping into something far darker. Places where crime isn't just a statistic, it's a constant presence, shaping how people live, where they go, and what they fear. What makes this story unsettling is that many of these cities weren't always dangerous. Some were once symbols of hope, thriving downtowns, strong communities, and a promise of safety. So the question becomes, what changed? Was it economics, policy decisions, policing failures, or deeper social cracks that were ignored for decades? This month, as new crime data continues to emerge and headlines flash across our screens, we decided to take a closer look. Not at rumors, not at reputation, but at the numbers. Violent crime rates, patterns, and trends that reveal which American cities are struggling the most right now. In this video, we count down the top 10 most dangerous cities in America in 2026. But this isn't just a list. Behind every ranking is a story of history, inequality, resilience, and warning signs that other cities can't afford to ignore. Because understanding danger isn't about spreading fear. It's about understanding cause and effect. It's about learning how cities rise and how they fall. So stay with us, because by the end of this video, you may never look at America's cities the same way again. Houston, Texas, America's 10th most dangerous city. Houston, Texas is a city of contradictions. It's home to NASA's Mission Control, one of the most diverse populations in the United States, and an economy larger than that of many countries. Millions come here chasing opportunity, innovation, and a better life. But in 2026, Houston also carries a far less celebrated distinction, ranking as the 10th most dangerous city in America. This ranking isn't based on rumors or reputation. It's grounded in crime data, including reports submitted to the FBI, which paint a troubling picture of violence beneath the city's sprawling skyline. According to FBI crime statistics, Houston consistently reports violent crime rates far above the national average. These crimes include aggravated assault, robbery, sexual assault, and homicide, offenses that directly threaten lives and communities. When adjusted for population, Houston's violent crime rate remains more than 3 times higher than that of the average American city. What makes this especially alarming is that Houston is not a small, struggling town. It is a global city, and yet violence continues to shape daily life in many of its neighborhoods. The most common violent crime in Houston isn't murder, it's aggravated assault. Thousands of these cases are reported each year, often involving firearms. Robberies and sexual assaults follow closely behind, while homicides, though fewer in number, still occur at levels that keep the city under national scrutiny. These numbers tell a statistical story, but they don't fully capture the human reality. In parts of Houston, residents plan their days around safety. Certain streets are avoided after dark. Parents worry about children walking home from school. Small business owners install security cameras and metal bars, not as precautions, but as necessities. Crime is not evenly spread across the city. It is concentrated, intense, and persistent in specific neighborhoods. So how did Houston end up here? Part of the answer lies in scale. Houston is one of the largest cities in the country, both in population and physical size. Policing such a vast urban area presents enormous challenges. Emergency response times vary widely, and resources are often stretched thin. But size alone doesn't explain the problem. Houston has long struggled with economic inequality, where prosperity and poverty exist side by side. In neighborhoods facing unemployment, underfunded schools, and limited access to services, crime finds fertile ground. Add to that the widespread availability of firearms, and everyday conflicts can quickly turn deadly. There are also deeper structural issues. Decades of uneven urban development, zoning policies, and limited public transportation have isolated certain communities. These areas often experience higher crime rates not because of who lives there, but because of systemic neglect. To be clear, Houston is not collapsing. In fact, recent local data suggests modest declines in some categories of violent crime, reflecting broader national trends. But even with these improvements, the city's crime levels remain high enough to place it firmly among America's most dangerous cities. This is the uncomfortable truth. Progress at the margins does not erase long-standing problems. Yet Houston is not without hope. Community organizations, neighborhood initiatives, and targeted policing strategies are working to reduce violence. Some areas of the city are safer than ever, and many Houstonians continue to fight for a future where safety is not a privilege, but a guarantee. Houston's ranking as number 10 is not a sentence, it's a warning. It shows how quickly growth can outpace stability, how prosperity can mask vulnerability, and how even the most powerful cities must confront the consequences of inequality, policy choices, and social fractures. As America continues to change, Houston stands as a reminder. Danger doesn't define a city, but ignoring it can shape its future. And as we move up this list, the cities ahead face challenges even more severe. At number 9 is Oakland, California. Just across the bay from San Francisco, is a city of cultural richness, musical heritage, and deep social history. But it's also a place where danger stands out starkly in the numbers. In 2026, Oakland is ranked near the top of America's most dangerous cities, and the reasons lie in both raw statistics and the lived experiences of its residents. According to FBI data, Oakland's violent crime rate remains exceptionally high. In 2024, the city recorded 8,376 violent crimes, translating to a violent crime rate of approximately 1,925 incidents per 100,000 people, more than 5 times the national average. The most common offenses included aggravated assault, robbery, and rape, with aggravated assault alone making up over 5,000 of those cases. Property crime was also severe, with over 31,500 reported incidents and a property crime rate that exceeded 7,200 per 100,000 residents. To put these figures in perspective, the national violent crime rate hovers around 359 incidents per 100,000 people, meaning Oakland's levels are dramatically higher. In some categories, like robbery, the city's rate is nearly 700 incidents per 100,000 residents, compared to roughly 60 per 100,000 nationwide. This pattern reflects decades of struggle. Historically, Oakland's violent crime surged in the early 2000s, with FBI reports showing that violent crime peaked around 2023, when the rate reached over 3,600 per 100,000 residents, among the highest nationwide. But the story is more nuanced than simply crime is high. Since those peak years, Oakland has seen significant declines in violent crime overall, especially as local law enforcement and community organizations intensified efforts to curb violence. Data through 2025 shows drops in homicides, robberies, assaults, and even property offenses. The Oakland Police Department reported notable decreases across major categories compared to the year before, crediting both policing strategies and community partnership efforts for those improvements. Still, the experience of crime in Oakland remains very real. Many neighborhoods continue to grapple with shootings, car break-ins, and assaults that shape how people live. Cultural landmarks and small businesses in certain districts have cited crime as a factor in closures and reduced foot traffic, underscoring that danger is not evenly felt, but deeply impactful where it exists. Understanding why Oakland struggles requires looking beyond numbers to the forces behind them. Economic inequality, concentrated poverty, and gaps in education and opportunity have long played a role. These systemic issues can create environments where youth are drawn into cycles of violence, and where informal economies tied to crime flourish in the absence of stable alternatives. Some experts also point to historic under-resourcing of law enforcement and complex legal frameworks that restrict proactive policing efforts. According to commentary from local sources, limited staffing and administrative challenges have sometimes hindered aggressive crime deterrence, which critics argue only deepens community vulnerability. Yet Oakland is not without resilience. The city's leaders and community groups have pursued innovative approaches to violence prevention, from data-driven policing models to neighborhood outreach programs aimed at diffusing conflicts before they escalate. Even as crime remains elevated compared to other U.S. cities, these efforts signal a collective desire for change, an urgency shared by those who live, work, and raise families in the city. Oakland's ranking among the most dangerous cities is a complex picture of past surges, ongoing challenges, and emerging progress. It's a reminder that urban safety is not a fixed destination, but a moving landscape shaped by policy, community investment, economic pressures, and the resilience of the people who call these places home. As we move up the list to the next city, where danger grows sharper still, take a moment to consider the full spectrum of factors behind these numbers: history, policy, people, and the hope that even the toughest cities can forge safer futures. Oakland's story shows us how deeply crime can be woven into the fabric of a city, not just in headlines, but in everyday life. But our journey through America's most dangerous cities doesn't stop there. Just a few states away, a city with a vastly different rhythm. A city of parades, jazz, and deep cultural roots faces its own battle with violence. New Orleans, Louisiana, a place that for many evokes the sound of trumpets and the taste of spicy gumbo. Yet, beneath the vibrant streets of the French Quarter and the soulful music echoing through the Marigny, there's a much harsher reality playing out. A reality that has pushed this iconic city into the upper ranks of America's most dangerous. As we move on to number 8 on our list, we'll explore how New Orleans ended up here, what the numbers really say, and the history behind a city that's both beloved and imperiled. Stay with us. New Orleans, a city whose name often conjures music, Mardi Gras, historic architecture, and a spirit unlike anywhere else in America. But for decades, it's also been a city known for another reason: its persistent struggle with violent crime. Today, New Orleans appears on our list of America's most dangerous cities, not because of sensationalism, but because the numbers, especially those collected by the FBI, tell a stark story. According to the FBI's Uniform Crime Report, the violent crime rate in New Orleans hovered around 1,361 incidents per 100,000 residents, one of the highest rates among major U.S. cities. This figure, significantly above national averages, reflects crimes that involve force or the threat of force, including aggravated assault, robbery, rape, and homicide. Breaking down the data further reveals what types of crime contribute most to this high rate. In the latest FBI figures, aggravated assault represented the majority of violent crime, with over 3,400 reported incidents, while rape and robbery each accounted for hundreds more. Even murders, though smaller in count compared to assaults, remain tragically common. These numbers are not just statistics on a page. They have shaped how many people live, work, and move through the city. Neighborhoods once celebrated for their vibrancy have seen rising fear and caution. Families living in some areas adjust their routines to minimize risk. Businesses in certain districts grapple with the impacts of crime on customers and employees. But looking at crime in New Orleans without context would be incomplete. In recent years, the city has actually seen significant reductions in violent crime, a trend that complicates its reputation. Local law enforcement data shows dramatic decreases in key categories, including homicides, non-fatal shootings, armed robberies, and carjackings, compared to earlier years. One annual report cited an overall 26% drop in crime and wide declines across person and property offenses. In fact, compared to historical peaks, like the early 2000s when New Orleans at times earned the grim title of America's murder capital, recent figures show a much lower number of annual killings. In some analyses, murder counts have dropped by more than 50% over a multi-year period, reflecting improvements in law enforcement and case outcomes. Even as violent crime remained high compared to national averages, locals and analysts have noted that crime patterns have shifted. In 2025, for example, New Orleans recorded some of its fewest murders in decades, and non-fatal shootings also declined, showing that the city's public safety landscape is evolving, not static. So why does New Orleans still feature on lists of dangerous cities? The answer lies in context. Even with recent declines, the city's violent crime rates remain elevated relative to most other American cities, reflecting deep structural challenges that take time and sustained effort to change. Factors such as economic inequality, concentrated poverty, historic under-resourcing in certain neighborhoods, and social dislocation all play roles that can't be understood by crime numbers alone. At the same time, efforts to improve safety are real. Police strategies have increasingly focused on data-driven enforcement, enhanced case processing, and partnerships with community groups. Conviction rates for violent felonies have climbed, suggesting stronger legal follow-through on serious offenses. Public debate around safety in New Orleans also reflects these tensions. Some advocate for more technological tools and crime cameras to deter violence. Others raise concerns about privacy and civil liberties. These discussions highlight that public safety isn't just about numbers. It's about values, trust, and community relationships. Behind every statistic in New Orleans are people striving for peace in a city that refuses to be defined by danger alone. The Crescent City's story reminds us that even places with elevated crime can change direction, showing both the challenges and possibilities. Cleveland, Ohio, America's 7th most dangerous city. Cleveland, Ohio, a city once known as the heart of America's industrial boom, the home of world-class museums, and the birthplace of rock and roll. But today it carries a much more troubling distinction. It ranks among the most dangerous cities in the United States. This isn't based on opinion. It's grounded in FBI crime statistics that reveal a reality many outsiders don't see. According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, Cleveland recorded 5,663 violent crimes in 2024, translating to a violent crime rate of about 1,561 incidents per 100,000 residents, far above the national average. To understand what that means, imagine this. In a typical American city, you'd expect roughly 359 violent crimes per 100,000 people. In Cleveland, that figure is more than 4 times higher, making the risk of violent crime strikingly elevated compared to most places in the country. Breaking these numbers down shows a deeper picture. Aggravated assault, attacks involving weapons or serious injury, accounted for over 3,600 incidents, while robbery and rape contributed hundreds more each. Even murder, though smaller in number, remains a tragic part of this mosaic of violence. The city also struggles with property crime. In 2024, Cleveland recorded over 16,000 property crimes, with a property crime rate of roughly 4,478 per 100,000 people. These offenses, burglary, theft, motor vehicle theft, add another layer to the sense of risk many residents face daily. But why does Cleveland's crime rate remain so high? Part of the story ties back to economic and social challenges. Like many older industrial cities, Cleveland has grappled with decades of population decline, shrinking economic opportunities, and unequal access to essential services. These structural issues don't create crime by themselves, but they can create environments where violence takes root and persists. Crime in Cleveland isn't evenly distributed. Certain neighborhoods experience far higher rates of violent and property crime than others, creating pockets of danger that can shape daily routines. Residents in these areas often talk about altered travel patterns, heightened awareness at night, and a keen sense of which streets and intersections to avoid, a lived experience that raw numbers alone can't fully convey. Yet there is another side to this story. In recent years, local law enforcement and community leaders have reported drops in violent crime across several key metrics. Data from mid-2025 suggests homicides in Cleveland declined by nearly 30% compared to the previous year, following targeted violence reduction programs and community safety initiatives. These decreases align with broader trends seen in many major U.S. cities, where innovative policing strategies, community engagement, and focused crime prevention efforts appear to be taking root. Still, even with these improvements, Cleveland's crime rates remain high relative to cities nationwide, meaning the danger is perceptible and persistent. Cleveland's ranking isn't a label of doom. It's a reflection of a city at a crossroads, wrestling with entrenched challenges while also pursuing new paths towards safety and revitalization. It's a reminder that crime statistics are more than numbers. They are snapshots of communities in motion, shaped by history, policy, and the daily lives of people striving for change. Alexandria, Louisiana. City number 6 on America's most dangerous list. In the heart of Louisiana, far from the bright lights of New Orleans and the busy ports along the Gulf Coast, sits a quieter city that rarely makes national headlines. Alexandria is modest in size, rich in Southern history, and home to a close-knit community. But in recent years, it has also become known for something far more troubling: a level of violent crime that places it among the most dangerous cities in the United States. Unlike larger metropolitan areas where crime is often diluted by population, Alexandria's danger is magnified by scale. With only tens of thousands of residents, even a few hundred violent incidents can dramatically raise the risk faced by ordinary people. And according to recent FBI-reported crime data, the numbers here are striking. Alexandria has recorded violent crime rates several times higher than the national average, driven largely by aggravated assaults, robberies, and other serious offenses that directly threaten personal safety. When crime is measured per resident rather than by total numbers, the city rises quickly in national rankings. A reminder that danger is not limited to America's biggest urban centers. Property crime adds another layer to the story. Burglaries, theft, and vehicle break-ins occur frequently enough to shape how residents think about security in their daily lives. In smaller communities like Alexandria, these incidents feel personal. People often know the streets where crime is concentrated, the neighborhoods where caution is routine, and the hours of the day when risk feels highest. But statistics alone cannot explain why Alexandria struggles. Like many small southern cities, Alexandria faces economic hardship, limited job opportunities, and persistent poverty in certain neighborhoods. These conditions do not automatically create crime, but they can create environments where violence becomes more likely, especially when combined with limited community resources and strained public services. Law enforcement agencies in smaller cities also operate with fewer personnel and tighter budgets than those in major metropolitan areas. This can make prevention, rapid response, and long-term crime reduction more difficult, even when local officers and community leaders are deeply committed to change. And yet, Alexandria is not defined solely by danger. Community groups, churches, youth programs, and local advocates continue working to interrupt cycles of violence and provide alternatives for young people growing up in difficult circumstances. Their efforts rarely make national news, but they represent an important truth. Behind every crime statistic is also a story of resilience. Alexandria's ranking as city number 6 is not simply a label of fear. It is a signal that smaller American cities can face challenges just as serious as those in major urban centers, and a reminder that meaningful change requires more than policing alone. It requires investment, opportunity, and long-term commitment to the people who call these places home. As we continue upward on this list, the numbers will grow even more alarming, and the cities ahead will reveal deeper layers of America's struggle with violence. But Alexandria's story already tells us something important. Danger is not only found in the biggest cities. Sometimes, it lives quietly in places few people are watching. And that makes what comes next even more unsettling. Detroit, Michigan. City number 5 on America's most dangerous list. Detroit, Michigan, once the beating heart of America's automotive industry, a city of grandeur, grit, and reinvention. But as of 2026, Detroit still ranks among the most dangerous cities in the United States, not because of stories or fear-mongering, but because the data compiled by the FBI paints a striking picture of persistent crime. According to the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting statistics, Detroit recorded 11,599 violent crimes in 2024, resulting in a violent crime rate of about 1,781 incidents per 100,000 residents, well above the national average. These crimes include aggravated assaults, robberies, rape, and homicides, offenses that involve force or the threat of force and affect everyday life. To put that into perspective, in much of the United States, the average violent crime rate sits around 359 per 100,000 people. Detroit's rate is nearly 5 times higher, meaning the risk of experiencing a violent crime here is dramatically elevated compared to many other major cities. Property crimes, like burglary, larceny theft, and motor vehicle theft, add another layer to Detroit's safety challenges. In 2024, the city experienced over 28,400 property crimes, resulting in a rate of roughly 4,366 incidents per 100,000 residents. This isn't just numbers on a chart. For many residents, it's the lived reality of broken windows, stolen vehicles, and the feeling that your street, your block, or your home could be next. But numbers alone don't tell the whole story of how Detroit became this way. Decades of economic upheaval, from industrial decline and population loss to bankruptcy and reinvention, have shaped the Motor City's crime landscape. When factories shut down and jobs disappeared, neighborhoods were hit hard. Economic opportunities shrank, while social pressures grew, leaving gaps that crime can exploit. Yet, even within these stark statistics, a newer chapter is being written. In recent years, Detroit has seen significant drops in several major crime categories, including homicides, non-fatal shootings, and carjackings. Preliminary data from 2025 shows that the city recorded just 165 homicides, the lowest total in decades, along with notable declines in shootings and other violent offenses. Law enforcement officials and community leaders see these changes as more than just numbers. They point to partnerships between police, state agencies, community organizations, and public safety initiatives focused on violence prevention, strategies that are starting to show measurable results. Multi-agency efforts have helped reduce carjackings by more than 40% in a single year and have driven down non-fatal shootings and other crimes. However, Detroit's crime levels remain high enough to keep it on this list. Even as progress continues, the city's violent crime rate is still elevated compared to many other U.S. cities, a reminder that reductions alone don't erase the experiences that shape residents' lives. This duality, deep-rooted challenges alongside emerging improvements, is what makes Detroit's story so complex. It's a city with a legacy of strength and struggle, where safety is a pressing issue, but not an unchangeable destiny. Detroit's ranking as city number 5 tells us something important. Even places that are moving in the right direction can still face steep battles with crime, and progress often comes one step at a time. And as we climb higher on this list, the next city's challenges are even more severe. A stark reminder that America's struggle with violent crime takes many forms in many places. Baltimore, Maryland. City number 4 on America's most dangerous list. Baltimore is a city filled with history, character, and resilience. From its busy inner harbor to the tight-knit row house neighborhoods that stretch across the skyline, Baltimore has long been a place where American industry, culture, and community meet. But in recent years, it has also carried a far heavier reputation, one shaped by persistent violence and deeply rooted social challenges. Today, Baltimore ranks as the 4th most dangerous city in the United States, a position driven not by perception alone, but by consistently high levels of violent crime. Year after year, the city reports violent crime rates far above the national average, including large numbers of aggravated assaults, robberies, and homicides. Even when total incidents begin to decline, the overall risk per resident remains strikingly elevated compared with most American cities. What makes Baltimore's situation especially complex is that crime here is highly concentrated. Some neighborhoods experience relatively stable conditions, while others face repeated cycles of violence that shape everyday life. In the hardest-hit areas, residents often navigate routines built around caution, choosing safer routes home, avoiding certain corners after dark, and living with the constant awareness that danger can appear without warning. To understand why Baltimore struggles, you have to look beyond crime statistics alone. Like many older East Coast cities, Baltimore has faced decades of economic transition, population loss, and unequal investment across neighborhoods. Industrial decline removed stable jobs that once supported working-class families, while long-standing housing segregation and poverty created barriers that still affect opportunity today. These structural pressures don't excuse crime, but they help explain why violence can persist even as the city works toward recovery. And Baltimore is working toward change. In recent years, officials and community organizations have pushed new strategies aimed at reducing violence, from focused policing initiatives to neighborhood-based intervention programs designed to stop conflicts before they escalate. Some data suggests meaningful declines in homicides and shootings compared with earlier peaks, offering cautious signs of progress in a city that has struggled for decades. Yet, despite these improvements, Baltimore's overall crime levels remain high enough to keep it near the top of national danger rankings. This tension between real progress and ongoing risk defines the city's current moment. Baltimore is neither a lost cause nor a solved problem. It is a city in transition, still searching for lasting safety. Being ranked number 4 is not just a statistic. It's a reminder of how long structural inequality can shape public safety, and how difficult true recovery can be even when momentum begins to shift. St. Louis, Missouri. City number 3 on America's most dangerous list. St. Louis is a city known for its iconic Gateway Arch, deep musical heritage, and a history tied closely to the growth of the American Midwest. For generations, it stood as a symbol of movement, commerce, and possibility. But in recent decades, St. Louis has also become known for something far more troubling: one of the highest violent crime rates in the United States. Today, St. Louis ranks as the 3rd most dangerous city in America, a position driven largely by persistent levels of gun violence, robbery, and aggravated assault that remain far above national averages. When crime is measured per resident rather than by total population, the city consistently rises toward the top of national danger rankings, revealing just how concentrated the risk can be. Homicide has been one of the most defining challenges. For years, St. Louis recorded murder rates among the highest of any major American city, shaping national headlines and local fear alike. Even during periods when killings decline, the overall violent crime rate often remains elevated, showing how deeply rooted the problem has become. But numbers alone cannot explain St. Louis. Like many historic industrial centers, the city has faced decades of population loss, economic disinvestment, and neighborhood segregation. Entire communities were left with fewer jobs, fewer services, and fewer opportunities, conditions that can allow violence to take hold and persist across generations. Crime in St. Louis is also highly uneven. Some neighborhoods remain stable and vibrant, while others experience repeated cycles of shootings and street violence that shape daily routines. Residents in the hardest-hit areas often live with constant vigilance, adjusting how they travel, work, and socialize in order to stay safe. Yet St. Louis is not without signs of change. Local leaders, community groups, and law enforcement agencies have launched targeted violence reduction strategies, focusing on prevention, intervention, and stronger cooperation with residents. In certain recent periods, these efforts have contributed to declines in homicides and shootings, offering cautious hope that long-standing trends can shift. Still, progress remains fragile. Even with improvements, St. Louis continues to record violent crime levels far above the national norm, keeping it near the top of America's most dangerous city rankings. Being city number 3 is more than a statistic. It reflects decades of structural challenges, difficult policy choices, and the long shadow of inequality, but also the determination of communities working towards something better. And as serious as St. Louis's struggles are, the next cities on this list face even greater levels of danger, where violence becomes an even more defining part of everyday life. Oakland, California. Oakland sits on the eastern edge of the San Francisco Bay, a city known for artistic expression, political history, and resilient communities. From its vibrant street culture to its role in shaping movements for social change, Oakland has long carried a powerful identity. Yet alongside that legacy is a harsher reality, one defined by persistent violence and elevated crime rates that continue to place the city among the most dangerous in the United States. As city number 2 on this list, Oakland's ranking is driven not by reputation alone, but by crime levels that remain far above national averages, particularly in categories such as robbery, aggravated assault, and gun-related violence. When measured per resident, the concentration of violent incidents reveals just how severe the challenge has become in certain parts of the city. One of the defining features of crime in Oakland is its uneven geography. Some neighborhoods thrive with new investment, growing businesses, and active public life, while others experience repeated cycles of shootings, theft, and street violence. For residents in the hardest-hit areas, safety is not an abstract issue. It shapes daily routines, travel decisions, and even simple moments like walking home after dark. Understanding Oakland's struggles requires looking beyond statistics. Like many major West Coast cities, Oakland faces sharp economic inequality, rising housing costs, and long-standing social disparities that place pressure on vulnerable communities. Decades of disinvestment in certain neighborhoods, combined with limited access to opportunity, have created conditions where violence can persist despite broader regional prosperity. Law enforcement challenges have also played a role. Staffing shortages, policy debates, and shifting public expectations around policing have complicated efforts to respond quickly and consistently to crime. These tensions reflect a wider national conversation about how cities balance public safety, community trust, and justice, a balance that remains difficult to achieve. And yet, Oakland's story is not only one of danger. Community organizations, local leaders, and violence prevention programs continue working to interrupt cycles of crime and provide alternatives for young people at risk. In certain recent periods, the city has seen declines in specific violent crime categories, offering cautious signs that sustained effort can make a difference. Still, even with moments of progress, Oakland's overall crime levels remain high enough to secure its place as the second most dangerous city in America on this countdown. It is a reminder that cultural strength and community resilience can exist side by side with serious public safety challenges, and that meaningful change often moves slowly. Memphis, Tennessee, the most dangerous city in America. Memphis is a place woven deeply into the cultural soul of the United States. It is the birthplace of blues, the home of rock and roll's early sound, and a city whose music, food, and history have shaped American identity for generations. From Beale Street's neon glow to the quiet neighborhoods stretching beyond the Mississippi River, Memphis carries a legacy that is both proud and enduring. But today, Memphis also carries a far heavier distinction. It ranks as the most dangerous city in America on this list, a position driven by violent crime levels that stand dramatically above national averages, particularly in categories such as aggravated assault, robbery, and gun-related homicide. When measured per resident, the scale of violence becomes impossible to ignore, revealing risks that shape everyday life for many who call the city home. In some neighborhoods, safety is not assumed. It is carefully navigated. Residents speak of routines shaped by caution, choosing certain streets over others, limiting movement after dark, and living with an awareness that violence can erupt suddenly. These lived experiences give human weight to statistics that might otherwise feel distant. Understanding why Memphis faces such severe challenges requires looking beyond crime numbers alone. Like many historic southern cities, Memphis struggles with deep economic inequality, concentrated poverty, and limited access to opportunity in parts of the community. Decades of structural disadvantage have left certain neighborhoods with fewer resources, fewer jobs, and fewer pathways forward. Conditions that can allow violence to take root and persist across generations. At the same time, the city has worked to confront these realities. Law enforcement agencies, community leaders, faith organizations, and local programs continue pursuing violence reduction strategies and youth intervention efforts designed to break long-standing cycles. Some recent periods have shown declines in specific crime categories, offering cautious signs that progress, while difficult, is still possible. Yet even with these efforts, Memphis's overall violent crime burden remains higher than any other major city on this countdown, securing its place at number 1. This ranking is not a judgment on the people who live here, many of whom are working every day to build safer neighborhoods and stronger futures. Instead, it is a reflection of how powerful the forces behind urban violence can be when inequality, history, and limited opportunity intersect. And that truth reaches beyond Memphis. Because this list was never only about ranking cities. It is about understanding the deeper patterns shaping safety across America. The warning signs, the structural challenges, and the human stories behind the numbers. Danger does not define a city forever, but ignoring its causes can shape the future for generations. The real question is not which city is number 1 today. The real question is which cities will choose a different path tomorrow.